Before I begin, a little bit of my opinions on college basketball. I will say that during the regular season, college basketball is incredibly difficult to follow, as there are a lot of students and a lot of collegiate athletes that take the media by storm and that you have to pay attention to. So picking a lot of these teams to make it into the tournament might be a little bit biased just because of their record. But then again, it's most of the time when I watch these college games, the teams that end up with the best record end up winning their their tournament that's in their conference, which allows them to be eligible for the NCAA tournament. And sometimes in this, I don't really make that many predictions when I'm watching March Madness, because it's one of the very few times in basketball where literally anything can happen. We could see. I'm from New Jersey. If you guys don't know entirely, I'm from New Jersey, and at the time of March Madness, when the Peacocks were going, the St. Peter's Peacocks, when they were going on their legendary NCAA run in the Elite Eight, nobody expected them to be there. Nobody whatsoever expected them to be there, and it was probably the most memorable March Madness that I've had, and it was so much fun because it was a team that was representing my state that nobody thought was going to even make the tournament, somehow beat these big teams like Kentucky, beat Purdue, all of these amazing teams, and it's wow, anything can really happen in this tournament. So predictions for who's going to win and my brackets, I don't really do them that much because it's again, any team can make it out. And honestly, I stopped doing brackets once Purdue lost in the first round last year, and it completely ruined everything in my bracket. So yeah, I'm still a little bit salty over that. But regardless, anything can happen in this sport, and that's why a lot of people like the NCAA, like college basketball, and they like that March Madness, because you have no idea who's going to step up in these games. It could be anyone, and you have no idea who's going to make a mistake, because the pressure could get to some of these students a lot quicker than it would get to a lot of these athletes, and it's not entirely easy to tell who is going to be the better team on any given night. But with that out of the way, let's go ahead into some of the teams that are expected to come out. We'll go into the mid-majors first in the AEC. The Vermont Catamounts, they are 23-6, and they are 13-1 in the AEC. So I believe that they obviously have the best chance to make it out from their conference, just because of that dominant record that they have over all of the teams that are in their conference. And they've reached the NCAA tournament 4 times in the past 7 years, including the number 15th seed in 2023. So I believe that they have the best chances of representing the AEC in the NCAA tournament. And there's not really much that needs to be said, because this team is just it's far better than all the other teams that are in that same conference, in my personal opinion. And over in the Atlantic 10 division, the Dayton Flyers, I believe they have the best chances of making the tournament. They're 21-5, 12-3 in their conference. Obviously, it's a little bit more of a competitive conference, but they're projected for the number 5th seed in the most recent bracket matrix. So they definitely have a great chance of making it all the way and winning it, because again, anything can happen in March Madness, and it's anything can happen. It's such a great tournament, and I really look forward to this tournament all the time. And the Atlantic Sun division, the Lipscomb Bisons, they have the best chance of representing that Atlantic division, and they aren't really the best team in their conference. Eastern Kentucky and Stetson, they both have they both have a better record, and they sit above them in the Atlantic Sun division. So might not be the right team, but they are 17-1 when they score at least 80 points and have 6 players averaging at least 8 points per game. So I believe that that this is going to be enough to like allow them to eventually win the game in the end. However, it's not going to be easy to make it past both of these two teams, seeing as how they are ranked below they are below them in the brackets. Now, in the Big Sky Conference, there's the Eastern Washington Eagles. They're 18-10, but in the Big Sky division, they are 12-3. And so they won the regular season title at the Big Sky last season, but they lost to North Arizona in their conference tournament. So I believe now that they're hungry and they want to win, this is going to be the next step, and they're going to make it and represent the Big Sky in the NCAA tournament. Now, the Big South, the High Point Panthers, they're 23-6, 12-2, and they won 12 in a row earlier this season. So they're definitely capable of being like a great team and using that momentum that they've accumulated throughout the rest of the season, like using the momentum to their advantage. And they rank 29th in KenPom's adjusted offensive efficiency and lead the nation with 20.6 made free throws per game. So with all of this in mind, this team could have a shot to go very, very far in the NCAA tournament because, again, I mentioned earlier, like they went on 12 games. They went on a 12-game winning streak and to begin, so they know how to take advantage of the momentum that they have, and I believe it could carry over to their play in the NCAA tournament. Now, the free throws, they might drop just a little bit because of like the officiating in the NCAA tournament. I think the refs, like, they're going to be a little bit more lenient and allow the players to play and decide the game because that's usually like how it goes. But then again, like, we have no idea how the refs are going to be officiating this game. So it could, if they end up shooting a lot of free throws, that's definitely going to benefit their team, especially since they're really good at making free throws. Now, for the Big West, the UC Irvin Anteaters, they're 20-8, excuse me, and they're 13-3 in the Big West. And they've split the season series with UC San Diego, and those two teams currently, like, they're tied in the Big West with a 13-3 record, but I believe that they're not really, the Tritons aren't eligible for the NCAA tournament in just their fourth year at a D1 level. So the Anteaters, like, they need to make this conference title. They need to make this conference title game, and they need to win it in order to clinch representing their team for the Big West. And the CAA division, the UNC Wilmington Seahawks, they are 20-8 and 11-5 in their division. It's the College of Charleston. They finished 31-4 and climbed as high as number 18 in the AP poll last year, en route to number 12 seed in the NCAA tournament. That's one of the teams that's in their conference. However, the Seahawks, they won both regular season matchups against that other team, and so I believe that with that in mind, they have a much better chance because they've won the two games against them. So, but still, we'll see how this, again, anything can happen in this tournament. And the CUSA, or the Conference USA, the Sam Houston Bearcats, I believe they're going to be representing, they have the best chance of representing the CUSA in the tournament. They're 17-11, 10-3, and next Thursday's game between Sam Houston and Louisiana Tech, it's going to determine like who's going to be heading to that tournament. It's definitely like an early matchup to be aware of. So stay in tune for that game. Now, let's move on to like other teams that are in the mid-majors. The Horizon, the Youngstown State Penguins, I believe, are going to represent the Horizon division. 22-9, 14-6 in their division, and they set the school record with 24 wins last season and winning the regular season conference title. So obviously, they're still searching for their first NCAA tournament, but if they end up winning, like, I feel like this, like, after last season, after they set that record for 24 wins, I think, and after not making it, now is their time to end up representing the horizon in the NCAA tournament, because a lot of people like underestimate failure when it comes to sports teams. Like a lot of these great players, they don't get where they are until they fail. So, and failing makes them better because they don't want to fail again, and they've been in that situation before where they have failed, and it's like, I already know how this goes and I'm not letting it happen. That type of deal. And I feel like that sort of mentality is going to play into them winning and them representing the horizon in the NCAA tournament. Now, let's go into the Ivy League. So obviously, like with the Ivy League, it's relatively easy to pick. So the Princeton Tigers, they're 21-3, 9-2 in the Ivy League, and they have 3 teams in the top 100. They have Princeton, which is 51, Yale, which is 84, and Cornell, which is 93. And I think it's just going to be a fun tournament between these Ivy League schools. But again, like the Tigers, they have a history of always dominating these teams. So I feel like it's just going to be the same way. But the Tigers are currently riding a 6-game winning streak, including a 73-62 win over Yale on February. So with that in mind, I feel like they have the best chances of beating Yale. And the other team, Cornell, they have a big matchup against them on March 2nd. So we'll see how that changes. My overall opinions on this team. But I feel like the Princeton Tigers are definitely going to represent the Ivy League. Now, we have the MAAC. Now, this one's a little bit complicated because the MAAC is, if you guys don't know, that's the division that my school is in. Quinnipiac University, they have the best record in the MAAC right now, and they arguably, in my personal opinion, they have the best chances of making it to the NCAA tournament. However, Fairfield is still in the way. Now, Fairfield is the favorite to represent the MAAC, and I don't understand why, because they aren't even like the best team in the MAAC. Obviously, Quinnipiac is the best team in the MAAC, just judging off of like record. However, I believe that Quinnipiac University, like they tend to fall short when the light shines the brightest. Last year, they were the 3rd seed in the MAAC tournament, and they lost to Marist, a 6th seed, and they lost in a blowout. They completely collapsed, and part of it might have been like the fault of the coach, which Quinnipiac ended up firing and replacing with a new coach, who is leading this team to number 1 in the MAAC. So definitely, they still have a great chance, but they split the season series between Quinnipiac. Fairfield lost to Quinnipiac at home, but then ended up winning against Quinnipiac in their stadium. I was actually at that game. I was one of the people watching, and judging by how like Quinnipiac played, I mean, it didn't really look like Quinnipiac had a shot. So I understand like why Fairfield is like a favorite, but the game was still relatively close. So I don't want to say that Fairfield is going to represent it just because of like my personal bias with the school that I am affiliated with. And with Quinnipiac University, I think they have the best chance of representing the MAAC in the NCAA tournament, hopefully. But if not them, then it's most definitely Fairfield. And now we go on to the MAC, which is the Akron Zips. They're 20-8, 12-3 in the MAC. And obviously, like just off of that record alone, they definitely have the best chances. And they have a top 100 defense in KenPom's adjusted efficiency metric, and they only allow just 65.3 points per game. And defense is something that's much more reliable than offense, especially in these really big games. So I definitely think that's going to give them an edge. They also limit the opponents from shooting by only shooting 30% beyond the arc. So when teams go up against them, the teams shoot 30% beyond the arc. So obviously these are great defensive numbers for this team, and I just feel like they have the best chances. And their defense is definitely like it's on par to being one of the best. So I really feel like this like a team that has defense and that values defense is going to be the team that ends up winning a lot of games in this NCAA tournament. Now, we're running out of time for this segment, so We're out of time for this segment, so I'm going to go ahead and break into the third segment where I give a quick recap of some of the NBA games. And I'll touch on this March Madness most likely tomorrow and just continue the list of all the teams because, again, it's a lot of teams to cover. So just go ahead and go into a break and give a quick recap of all of the NBA games that happened last night. So I will be right back after this short break.